Welcome back to the Mental Playbook with Christine Dalgety, Season 2. This season, we are expanding the conversation, hearing from mental health experts, professionals from different industries, and people in the sports world about how they take care of their minds, handle challenges, and build the mindset to thrive both on the job and in life. So, grab a coffee, get comfy, tune in, get inspired, and let's dive into some fascinating conversations. Remember, your mind is super powerful, and with the right tools and knowledge, you can master your mental playbook. And while you're doing that, take care of you. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mental Playbook with Christine Dalgety. Full disclosure, the Ottawa Senators are in a very tight race for the playoffs, and we didn't time this very well, and they're on my TV right now. Volume's off. I'm focusing on the podcast, but I just need to disclose, you know me well enough to know that I can't not have it on. So, and the Jays are playing right now too. We so did not time this very well. Anyway, if I happen to glance up or maybe do a little cheer, because we need these 2 points. So I am focused on you though, I promise. All right. Today we're talking about something that affects all of us. Mental health and the news. And I'm not talking necessarily about CNN and Fox and CBC or whatever those news outlets, although that is it too. I'm talking about world news. And this is something that I deal with in my practice multiple times every single day. The podcast isn't going to be just what's happening out there. It's also about what's happening inside of you when you're taking all of it in. So, have you ever thought, I'm just going to open up my phone and take a quick look at something? Or it's been a long day and you open up your phone to check out videos of animals, funny videos of animals, or if you're me, videos of people falling or jump scare things, because I don't know, I belly laugh at that stuff. And then suddenly you are 30 minutes into headlines and videos of doom and gloom, and you're feeling anxious and heavy or just off. You didn't do anything stressful, but your body feels like you did. It's not random. That's your nervous system responding to your world. I'm thinking that just me saying that one part, there are many of you that are like, oof, yeah. Or you just hear about it, right? So let me say this right away. If you feel anxious, overwhelmed, heavy, or emotionally numb lately, you are not overreacting. You're responding. And that distinction really matters. Because we are living in a time where we are exposed to more information, more crises, more tragedies, more uncertainty than any generation before us. And I'm not saying that bad things didn't happen. I'm saying that we're exposed to more of it. And it's not just about, that we know more. It's that we see it, we hear it, we feel it instantly, repeatedly, every single day, or all the time, often without a pause, right? Without a break. And your brain, it wasn't designed for this constant exposure. It was designed to respond to immediate real-time threats in your environment, not to process the suffering of hundreds or thousands of people around the world multiple times a day. So when you feel overwhelmed and you notice yourself shutting down a little bit or even avoiding the news altogether, that's not weakness. That's your system trying to regulate and to protect you. It's a very human response to an intense, I just had a total brain fart. It's a very human response to and a very intense level of input, my brain. And it wasn't because I was watching the game, I promise. I can't see it right now. So I want to break this down in a really simple human way because I love me some neuroscience, right? I love how the brain works. I love all the mechanisms of it. And I'm a psych geek, I will admit it, and I can get really into it. And people are looking at me, well, kind of like the way I look at my accountant when she's talking, and I'm like, I can tell you something about the brain, right? It's overwhelming for me. So I can understand that neuroscience and how our brain works and everything can be overwhelming. So I'm going to try to simplify it. When you see distressing news, whether it's war, violence, economic stress, political tension, which we see a lot, your brain doesn't pause and logically sort through distance or context. It doesn't go, oh, that's far away, I'm safe. It asks, is this a threat? And then your body responds in a way that says, yes. It doesn't matter where it is. So what happens then is your survival system kicks in. Kind of like behind the scenes, right? It's not like you're like, ooh, I have to go, protect myself. The limbic system, it kicks in, your survival system. Cortisol begins to rise. That's the stress hormone, your primary stress hormone. There's a few. Adrenaline increases, getting your body ready to react. Your heart rate can subtly elevate. Sometimes it's not so subtle, right? You can feel your heart pounding. Your muscles may tense without you even noticing. Your attention narrows and you're scanning for danger. This is your nervous system doing its job to protect you. But here's the important part. Your nervous system, your hypothalamus, thalamus, stress response doesn't differentiate between direct danger and perceived or witnessed danger. It doesn't say, oh, that's real life or death danger. I could be unsafe. I'm hearing about this. I saw something happen on video. It just says it's all danger. So even though you're physically safe, your body can feel like it's not. And that is what we call vicarious stress or secondary trauma. Therapists can get vicarious stress and secondary trauma, especially trauma therapists like myself, first responders, medical professionals, because I don't get sunshine and rainbows, I get trauma. I hear about people's trauma, unsafe situations all day long, every day. And so I have my own techniques I'm going to talk about, but to try to regulate that. You can also have vicarious stress and secondary trauma by what I was talking about, the information that you're taking in, because your brain can't differentiate between this is on video and this is actually happening to me. You don't have to live something firsthand for your body to respond to it. And in today's world, we're not exposed to these stressors once in a while. We're exposed to them over and over and over again throughout the day, and often every day or multiple days. You scroll, you see something upsetting. You check again, there's an update. You turn on the TV and you see more images and more intensity. And each time your nervous system gets another hit of activation. It's not always enough to overwhelm you maybe in one moment, but enough that your system never fully resets or comes back down. So instead of the natural rhythm that we have of activation, settling, you end up living a low-grade, constant alert state. So I often say to my clients, when I'm talking about the news specifically, but when I'm talking about anything, but I'm just going to talk about the news. When I'm trying to work with them on what the information input, I say to them, because of this, because your nervous system doesn't go right back down, I always use a scale of 0 to 5. You are starting your day, spending your day at like a level 3 out of 5. So it doesn't take long to get up to that 5, right? It can show up in ways people don't always connect to the news. So often, and I'm going to explain this a little bit, but often people say to me, like, everything's good though. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why I feel this way. Everything in my life is okay. So it can show up like feeling on edge or irritable, trouble focusing, trouble concentrating, difficulty sleeping or just shutting your brain off, emotional fatigue or numbness, and a sense of heaviness that you can't quite explain. And this is why people say, I don't know what's wrong with me lately. I don't know why I feel this way. When in reality, your nervous system has just been working overtime without a break. I also often say to clients, it's like you're being chased by a bear 24/7, right? It's that, your nervous system's just going and going and there's no break for it. So this isn't you being too sensitive. This is your brain and body doing exactly what they're wired to do. Just it's in an environment where the input never really stops. So your body and your brain are wired to protect you. Your brain is designed to protect you. But it's in an environment where the input that's causing this protection never stops or rarely stops. Most people fall into 3 patterns, and you might recognize yourself in one of them. The first one is one that I work with clients a lot and trying to help them, and that's the hyper consumption. So doom scrolling. That's when my clients say, no, but I need to know everything. I need to know the updates. I have to be aware of all of this stuff. And it brings a sense of control to want to know all the information about what's going on in different parts of the world, within our own country, so that we can protect ourselves, right? But what happens is it actually increases anxiety. And it keeps your nervous system activated at all times because you're constantly looking for it. You're constantly consuming all of this trauma. And like I said earlier, it could be war, it could be violence, it could be economic stressors, and it could be political stuff, it could be social division, it could be any of that, the stuff that we see all the time. The second pattern that people fall into is avoidance. I can't watch this anymore. I'm shutting it off. That doesn't work either. One, because we can't shut it off completely if you're on electronics at all, or if you turn your TV on, unless you're just like watching Netflix, movies and stuff like that. But even at that, movies have become more violent and explicit and that kind of thing. So what happens though, we do this, like your brain is like, nope, can't do it anymore. I need to protect you. So it's a protective stance, but it can lead to guilt and disconnection. And I know you're saying guilt because you want to protect yourself. Guilt because this is what I hear from many, many clients. I shouldn't be able to just turn it off because the people that are going through this don't have that opportunity. So they feel guilty that they are privileged enough that they don't have to, that they have the opportunity, the ability to not look at it when people are actually living it and going through it. And the third one is emotional numbing. And I think that this one's really important to talk about for a couple of reasons. One is, people saying, I don't feel anything anymore. And it's not a coldness, it's emotional numbness. They don't feel. And that's your brain protecting you from being overwhelmed. So when we get overwhelmed, emotions are instinctual. They're extinctual. Emotions are instinctual, and they're, an instinctual response to a stimuli, a situation. And so your brain shuts off the emotion, so you're not responding to it. Because if you have the emotion, it's going to impact your nervous system. The problem with that too is it's kind of a combination with the amount that we do see. And the problem with that is that our society has become very desensitized. And I'm not saying that we don't look at pictures or whatever and we're like, oh, or, see things on the news and we're like, oh, I'm not saying that, but we're becoming desensitized. We see this stuff all the time. So it's like, oh, another school shooting. Oh, another, and it bothers us, but it's not like years ago before we saw it all the time. It'd be like, are you kidding me? Right? And we would really feel it. But society, and I see a lot of younger people who are more subjected to this stuff. It's like, yeah, so he's being bullied, or yeah, so they're going through this. We're desensitized. And that's partially because we see it all the time, but your brain is saying, I'm not going to feel anything for it because it's too much. Our brains were not designed for this. All right, so why does this feel so personal? When we look at all of this stuff, why is it so personal, even when it's not directly about you? This is where we get a little bit deeper into it. And I'm hoping this will help you make a little bit more sense of it as well. Your brain doesn't just process facts. It processes meaning, and meaning is personal. It's shaped by your experiences, fear, your history, like your fears, not just fear, but your fears, your core belief, even what you've been through that you don't always think about day to day or even remember. I've had situations with clients with suppressed trauma, which means a trauma happened usually in childhood, but it doesn't have to be, but it's usually in childhood, and they don't remember, they don't know that it happened. And then often as adults, all of a sudden, it comes back. And so the interesting, like from a psychological perspective of this, and to describe what's happening here, is it's in your subconscious. Everything that's happened to you since birth is in your brain. It's in your subconscious. And so the interesting part of it is when we reflected back on my client's history in these situations, their behaviors were of someone who had been through the trauma. So if it's, childhood sexual abuse, their behaviors towards intimacy and those types of experiences are of someone who had been abused, but they didn't know they were, because it's in your subconscious. So you can see how even if you haven't been through, even if what you've been through you don't think about or remember, your brain still needs to find meaning, and the meaning is shaped by those things. So when you see conflict, your brain thinks safety. When you see economic stress, your brain thinks security. When you see social division, your brain thinks belonging. Those are core human needs. Your nervous system is constantly asking you, am I safe? Am I secure? And do I belong? So even if the event is not happening to you, it activates something in you. And sometimes it's not just about what's happening now, it's about what it represents. Those past things that I was talking about, or those core beliefs, or those fears. It can tap into old stress, past uncertainty, even your general sense of instability that your body remembers. So if there was things that made you feel like this instability in your life, your body and your brain remembers that. So things that you see can tap into that without you consciously being aware of it. So your mind might not be fully connecting the dots, but your body's already reacting to it. Your nervous system is already reacting to it. So when you say, I have no idea why I'm feeling this way, that's why you're feeling that way. That's why you might feel anxious, on edge, or emotionally heavy after scrolling the news. and not even knowing, exactly why. I say scrolling in the news, like I said earlier, it could just be going on TikTok. And these are the videos that come out. Because the thing is, you go on social media, you see one of these videos, like breaking news. You see one and you watch it, and then there's another one, and then there's another one, and then there's something funny, and then there's another one. And it becomes, your algorithm, then it's on your For You page, and you're seeing multiple. And I've noticed lately too, there's a lot of different court cases and stuff. So I might have seen something months ago or a year ago on about, something that's happened. And all of a sudden, I'm watching the court case, and there's 100 different social media influencers giving their take on it and saying, being the detective and that kind of thing. And so, and I mean, some of them, they're pretty accurate, but they're giving their take. And so then I watch it, and then it's like constant. And so not only do I get the world news, but I get these details as well. So all of this that's happening, it's not because you're overreacting. It's because your brain is doing exactly what it's designed to do, trying to protect you by making meaning out of what you're seeing. All right, so there's layers to this, right? And emotional layers, and what people often label as anxiety about the news. That's pretty simplified. It's layered. So underneath it might be fear. It might be helplessness. You can't do anything to change it. It might be loss of control, anger. And anger, I'm hesitating here a bit, thinking. Anger is a secondary emotion. Anger comes out to protect us too. So if all of this is happening, anger is coming out to protect you. So as soon as you feel angry, something's going on. Remind yourself of that. There's a little tidbit. And the other layer is also grief. Yeah, I said grief. We are collectively grieving things that we can't always name. Safety is one. And without going into too much detail, something has happened in my life recently, which I'm okay. When I was creating this podcast and researching it, and I came across, grief and the different things, and safety was in there, and I was thinking, wow, that's what I've been feeling this week. And I'm grieving the safety that I used to just walk to my car in the parking lot and not think twice about it. And now I'm kind of looking over my shoulder, pulling into my garage and making sure my garage door is closed before I get out of my car. Never did that before, never even thought about it, right? And so I'm grieving that, I wouldn't say innocence, but that life. And so when we look at things in the world that's going on, the safety that we feel about different things that we see, right? I remember a time when I liked to go to outdoor music festivals. And I remember a time when there was some incidents in the United States at music festivals and that sort of thing. And I was like, no, I don't want to go to a music festival, right? And it was a brief time, but we can grieve that it's a music festival. We can grieve that. The other thing that we grieve is predictability. Things seem so unpredictable these days, so we grieve that. Trust in systems. We used to trust different systems. Now there's a lack of trust. And I mean, I just said, on TikTok, when I'm scrolling on social media, not just TikTok, social media, when I'm scrolling and everybody is, anything that is in the news, people are, okay, but that doesn't make sense. And did you see this? And did you, it's that nobody trusts any information anymore. And so then you get more and more videos on it, right? There's the way things used to feel. There was a video that came up and it was on social media. And I was telling my brother about it the other day. And it said, if you could go back to the 80s, would you? And I said to my brother, I was like, in a heartbeat, like that. I would go back. Yeah, no, we wouldn't have the technology that we have. We didn't have that. The information, that you do need at your fingertips. We wouldn't have some of the automated things that we have now. But as, complicated as we thought life was back then, oh man, it was so much simpler. And we didn't see stuff in real time. We didn't see, live this and live that and school shootings and stuff like that. We would see it days later in the newspaper and it would be a police car with caution tape. Did we know bad things were happening around the world? Absolutely. But we didn't get it all day long, every day. So, the news was on at noon, at 6, and at 11. And so normally you just watched it. Normally it was 6 o'clock news. And as a family, we would all get together and watch the 6 o'clock news, right? Growing up, that was just something that families did. But it wasn't all like it is right now. The thing with grief, grieving, all of these things that we used to have, we don't have safety, predictability, trust in systems, and the way things used to feel. When grief has nowhere to go, it turns into anxiety. All right. So as always, I'm going to give you some practical strategies and like my therapist tools. Everything I'm about to talk about right now, I do with my clients because like I said, this is my daily thing. Every day of the week, I am working with somebody who is really struggling with this. So this is where we're going to shift into what you actually can do to help yourself. The first one is create intentional news boundaries. It's not avoidance, it's boundaries. And so the first thing you're going to do is choose when you consume the news. The second thing is how long you're consuming the news, right? How long you're going to watch it for. And then the third is choose trusted sources only. And I know that one can be difficult because, let's be honest, fear sells, right? And so a lot of news that we receive is sensationalized. It is like, it really grabs your nervous system because fear mongering and stuff really makes you watch more, unfortunately, because you're trying to protect yourself. The whole thing that I just talked about, news outlets know about this stuff, right? And yeah, they may be reporting the news, but they want you to watch. They're a business. So I often tell clients to check the news like you're checking the weather, not every 10 minutes. Take time that, okay, I'm going to look at the news in the morning like we used to do, right? 6 o'clock news. We watched the 6 o'clock news. Our parents watched the 6 o'clock news and the 11 o'clock news, right? Only to see if there was any updates from 6 to 11. So set that time. That's when I'm going to check stuff. And don't do it for an hour. I'm just going to look for this period of time. I often tell clients, like when they're, when they have anxiety, to have like a freak out time, right? Every day at 4 o'clock, that's when I'm going to, I'm going to write down stressors that I have during the day, worries that I have. Every day at 4 o'clock, I'm going to pull them out, and that's when I'm going to like go over them and try to figure them out and stuff, instead of keeping it in your head and checking everything all day long. Do that with the news as well. The second one is regulate before and after exposure. And I know people are going to say, you want me to do regulation before and after I look at the news? Yeah, because of everything I just said, right? So don't just consume it and then move on. So before if you have a specific time, so if you're following all these strategies and you have a specific time beforehand, ground yourself. Do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5 things you see, 4 things you feel, 3 things you hear, 2 things you smell or like the smell of, 1 thing you taste or like the taste of. Do those. Ground yourself to time and space. Do some deep breathing. Usually I say 3 to 4, right from the belly, in through your nose until you can't anymore, out through your mouth until you can't anymore. Center yourself. Then look at the news. After, move your body. Step outside. If it's cool out, that actually resets your nervous system. It regulates your nervous system. Cold does. So if it's cold out or cool out, just step outside for a minute. Shift your sensory input from what you just took in, that input. Shift it. Don't just sit in your chair after scrolling or watching the news, and then because you're going to start going over it, and that's going to activate your nervous system. And then number 3 is, I have a few steps that I do with it, and it's name what you're feeling. I often tell clients to name what you're feeling. Don't just say I'm feeling off. Say I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling helpless. I'm feeling scared. Whatever it happens to be. And then the next step is explain why to yourself, right? I'm feeling overwhelmed because of what's going on in the Middle East. I'm feeling overwhelmed, or I'm feeling helpless because what's going on wherever, right? When you explain it to yourself, when you label it and explain it, it takes the intensity away a little bit, because it's not just feeling it, right? Because when we're feeling it, and remember I said our brain tries to find meaning. So give the meaning. It could be, I'm feeling really scared right now because of what I went through when I was 17, right? Give yourself the meaning. The next one is limit emotional contagion. So energy spreads. We know that. We know that, like, some people say, oh, I can just feel the negative energy, right? Or I felt the energy from them. If your entire feed on social media is panic, outrage, fear, your nervous system absorbs that. And then we curate our input. Then we either talk about it with other people, they feel it off of us, they feel our nervous system activated, and it's a contagion, it can spread. If we need to talk about it all the time because of that energy that's in us from it, or we're seeing it all the time, then other people are taking that in too, and it can affect, because we don't know what they've been through, right? So that's a contagion. The next one is return to what you can control. This is an anchor, and I talk about control in every session because human beings need control. Ask yourself, is this something that within my control today? I often get clients, I do it like a big circle, and then I do a little circle. And the big circle is what I cannot control in this situation, and the little circle is what I can control. You can definitely control the amount you're absorbing, but it could be something like, depending on what it is, I can recycle more, right? I can make sure that I don't have a lot of waste. I can volunteer at this place to help homeless. Whatever it happens to be, you can control some of those things. But it's more to look at the stuff that you can't control as well. As an individual, you can't control what's happening in other parts of the world. And trying to carry that is too much. So the second question is, so what is within my control today? And the second one is, what is mine to carry? And what is not? Because right now, a lot of people are carrying the weight of the world, and it's way too heavy. The last one is we call them micro restorative moments. And sometimes, like, You might not need a full reset, but you do need small ones. So 5 minutes of quiet, a walk, music. I've talked on here, spoken about this often. Music is my thing, right? And so after a day of helping people with trauma, I often come home if I'm not watching a sport, because that's also my reset, but I put in my AirPods and I told you I dance around my kitchen or I dance, while I'm making dinner. But sometimes I use my 5 minute of quiet or 10 minutes of quiet and music. So I sit here in my chair, I put my fire on if it's not the summertime, or I sit on my porch in the summer and I put my AirPods in and I just close my eyes and I listen to music and I focus on the music and just like reset my nervous system a little bit. Something else you can do is connection with someone safe. So call a friend, talk to a family member that is supportive, or text a friend, FaceTime. When we do these little moments, they tell our nervous system that you're okay right now in those moments. One thing my clients often say to me is that they like that I always reframe things for them. And I do. I reframe things in my own life too. Like that's how I process things, is by reframing them too. So I wanted to just offer a few reframes. And the first one is, caring about what's happening in the world does not mean that you have to suffer because of it. You can care about what's happening in the world without carrying it, right? You don't have to suffer as well. You can be informed and be regulated. And this one is huge. This is me, right? Mostly because it's what I have to do in my profession. I have to regulate. I can't take on everybody's traumas. But also with the news, clients will often say to me, like, does it not scare you? Do you not feel it? Do you not feel this dread? Is it not heavy for you? And is it scary, some of the stuff I see? Absolutely. But I regulate myself by doing the strategies that I told you about, by processing it, by giving it meaning, by controlling what I can and focusing on what I can and also understanding what I can't. And it's funny because I know what's going on in the world. I am very informed in what's going on in the world. I filter, I set boundaries. And, there's people in my personal life that kind of talk to me like I'm naive and I don't understand, because they'll be talking about something and I'll say, yeah, I don't watch that stuff. And so then they have to educate me in it, or they feel they have to educate me in it. And I'm like, I know what's going on. There's not much that I don't know about because I inform myself, not because I'm this all-knowing, right? Because I inform myself, but I stay regulated. And so because I'm not outraged and upset, does some of it outrage me? Absolutely. Some of the stuff that I've heard, and we all know what some of that stuff is, files. It outrages, yes, I'm outraged by it, but I regulate it. I can't carry that. There have been some things that I saw that really disturbed me, and it took me a couple of days to regulate myself, but I did. So you can be informed and still regulate. You can care and still protect your peace. I care about what's going on in the world, but I have to protect my peace. I care what's happening with my clients and the traumas that they're experiencing, but I have to protect my peace, or I wouldn't be a very good therapist, right? If I carried it and felt everything that's going on around me. It's not avoidance, it's emotional intelligence. If you can do these things, if you can be informed and regulate and care and protect your peace, not suffer when you're caring about something, that's emotional intelligence. We're going to start wrapping up. I'm hoping that this has been informative. It's funny when I just say we're going to start wrapping up. That's what I say in session all the time. We're going to start wrapping up now. So I want to leave you with a question. Something to reflect on with this episode. I want you to ask yourself, what is my relationship with the news? And how is it affecting my mental health? And if the answer is, it's overwhelming, it's heavy, it's too much, then maybe it's time to change how you engage with it. You don't have to disconnect with the world, but you do need to stay connected with yourself. So usually now I say, if this episode has resonated with you, if you're an adult watching this, I don't see how it hasn't resonated with you because every adult that I know in some capacity has gone through this, right? Is experiencing this. Unless you're living somewhere where you don't have any access to, and if you do, then you're not watching this. So, or if you don't have access to any kind of social media or electronics backwoods, then, so if it has resonated with you, please share it. Help others understand what's going on, because I can honestly say that the one thing I hear all the time, every single day, is two things. One is, this world, I can't take it anymore. It's consuming me. I feel, I hear those things. The other thing I hear is, everything's going well for me. Why am I feeling this way all the time? Everything I talked about today is why you're feeling this way all the time. You're not even aware of it. The information that we are receiving all the time is creating this. So please share this. Let's help as many people as we can understand this. If you have any questions, if you have ways that you deal with it, please drop us a comment. And even more so, after this podcast, I'm going to tell you to take care of you. That's it for today's episode of The Mental Playbook with Christine Dalgety. Remember, the work doesn't end because the episode does. Thank you so much for listening and for being part of these conversations. If you're enjoying the podcast, please rate and follow us on Spotify. It helps us grow and reach more people who might need this too. And don't forget, take care of you.